Located in Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, this small patch of land is officially one of the most dangerous places in the entire Western Hemisphere. This is Cité Soleil. It's an open-air prison for more than 300,000 people, all trapped in an area of 8.42 square miles, a space smaller than a single airport. They are locked inside by warring gangs who have sealed the gates. The main roads are barricaded with rubble and wreckage. Nothing gets in. No food, no medicine, no fuel. One of the only roads into a district called Brooklyn is a corridor of death, so dangerous that it's often littered with the dead. Aid trucks can't get through. Ambulances don't come. This isn't just poverty. This is a full-scale siege against civilians, and the proof is in the bodies. Over 40% of all deaths here are from violence, not sickness, not old age. People are being shot in their homes, burned alive, and executed in the street. The murder rate is so high that it's been compared to the worst war zones on the planet. The UN has documented acts of extreme brutality, including a case where a plainclothes policeman was stopped by gang members, mutilated, then forced to eat parts of his own body before being burned alive. So how did it get this bad? Who are the gangs that have so much power that they can lay siege to an entire population? And how, in a place the world has forgotten, does a mother find a single cup of water for her child? How does anyone survive a single day when survival itself is the only job? To understand that, you need to see the prison. This commune has virtually no sewer system. What exists is a poorly maintained open canal system that overflows with waste. In the marshy Brooklyn district, the situation is even more dire, with a shocking 60 to 70% of houses having no access to a latrine. This waste isn't just hidden away. It's burned in the open air, blanketing the community in a constant haze of toxic smoke and exposing children to fatal, preventable diseases. The terror of this place is measured in more than just contamination. The violence is so pervasive that it has warped the very fabric of life. A recent survey found that a staggering 13% of residents have witnessed acts of extreme violence in the street, including murders and lynchings. For women, the danger is particularly cruel. 40% of pregnant women forego critical prenatal care because they are too afraid to travel to a clinic, fearing violence on the way. This cramped, toxic territory is then carved into sectors, each one a fortress controlled by warring armed gangs. Key areas like Brooklyn, Boston, and Wharf Jérémie are not just neighborhoods. They are strategic territories. Control of these zones, especially the wharves, means control over the community's lifelines, the trickle of food, medicine, and goods. In December 2024, in Cité Soleil's Wharf Jérémie neighborhood, a gang leader orchestrated the killing of at least 184 people in just 2 days after his child died. A UN report confirmed that 127 of the victims were elderly, targeted on accusations of using witchcraft. The bodies were burned and thrown into the sea. But Cité Soleil wasn't born this way, so how did this prison of fire and violence come to be? The story begins not with a bang, but with a promise. This is Cité Soleil in 1958. It wasn't a slum, it was Cité Simone, a planned community of just 52 homes for sugar refinery workers. This was the promise. But that promise was broken. In the 1980s, a flood of neoliberal economic policies shattered Haiti's rural economy. Hundreds of thousands of people, with nowhere else to go, fled to Port-au-Prince. They poured into this area. The population exploded from a few thousand to over 82,000 in just a few years. The infrastructure, meant for a village, was completely overwhelmed. The stage was set for a crisis. For years, this neglected area became a tool for politicians and elites. They would fund armed groups in these neighborhoods to intimidate rivals and control votes. They created the monsters, but they held the leash. Then came the earthquake. The 2010 disaster that killed over 200,000 people was a final, brutal blow. It shattered the capital and collapsed any remaining social order. The gangs, now well armed and deeply entrenched, saw their chance. The leash was snapped. When the last major UN peacekeeping mission ended, the void of power was absolute. The gangs were no longer just tools, they became a force unto themselves. They evolved from street crews into two major rival coalitions, the G9 family and allies and the G-Pèp alliance, turning these streets into a battlefield for their war. This was no longer just a crime, this was a fight for total control. In July 2022, that war exploded. For just 1 week, these gangs fought for control of the Boston and Brooklyn sectors. The result was a confirmed 89 people killed in the streets, with hundreds more wounded. The true number is likely far higher. But killing their rivals was only the first step. To break the people, the gangs launched a second, more insidious war, a siege against the entire population. Their strategy is simple, brutal, and total. They have sealed Cité Soleil from the outside world. They do this by building permanent barricades of rubble, burned out cars, and shipping containers across every main road in and out. The most infamous of these is the only road into the Brooklyn district. Aid groups call it a corridor of death. It is so exposed to sniper fire and ambushes that it is often littered with the bodies of those who tried to cross. This is not an exaggeration. It is a documented fact that has stopped all official aid convoys and ambulances for years. But the gang's ultimate weapon is their stranglehold on the Varro fuel terminal, located right next to Cité Soleil. This terminal is the main entry point for over 70% of Haiti's fuel and a massive portion of its food and medical supplies. By controlling this port, the gangs control the lifeblood of the entire nation. They weaponize this control. In late 2024, they deliberately blockaded the terminal, creating a catastrophic national fuel crisis. This single action shut down hospitals, stopped water pumps, and crippled the country. It was a demonstration of power that proved they could hold an entire nation hostage. The result inside Cité Soleil is a man-made famine. The World Food Program has confirmed catastrophic levels of hunger, the highest on their scale. This means people are already dying of starvation. Families are forced to survive on a single meal every other day. Mothers, unable to find real food for their children, are now forced to bake cookies from mud, salt, and vegetable oil. They know it will make their children sick, but it's the only way to silence the pain of their hunger. This is the daily reality. Ultimately, this level of violence is possible because of a near-total absence of state protection and consequences. The Haitian National Police are outnumbered, outgunned, and struggle to confront the gangs. Furthermore, trust in authorities is non-existent, as victims are often too afraid to report crimes to the police and have no faith in the collapsed judicial system. This climate of impunity allows the gangs to operate without fear of being held accountable for their atrocities. So, after seeing all this, we are left with the hardest question of all. What is the solution? Some say it requires an international security mission to break the gang's grip. Others argue that only a legitimate Haitian government can truly solve this from within. But many on the ground say the first step is simply for the world to stop looking away. This is where we turn to you. We've shown you the reality, now we want to hear your perspective. In the comments, tell us, what do you believe is the most realistic first step to ending the siege of Cité Soleil? Is it military intervention, diplomatic pressure, or massive humanitarian aid? There are no easy answers, but your voice can help keep the focus on this crisis. If this story shocked you and you believe these stories deserve to be told, then help our channel continue this mission. Like this video, subscribe to Now Future, and hit the notification bell. We are committed to bringing you the stories the world needs to see. Thank you for watching, and thank you for not looking away.